Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today we are diving into the book Superforecasting, and we're going to talk about a skill that might just be one of the most underrated advantages you can have in life, getting better at predicting what's coming next. Okay, let's start with this bombshell of a quote. We all turn to experts, right? For everything from the stock market to politics, we trust them. But what if that trust is, well, completely misplaced? The author Philip Tetlock doesn't just poke holes in the idea of the all-knowing expert. He pretty much shatters it. And listen, this wasn't just some catchy line he came up with. It was the brutal conclusion of a massive 20-year study. He tracked over 28,000 predictions from hundreds of credentialed experts. And the result? It was stunning. Their long-term forecasts were barely better than random chance. Just let that sink in for a second. The people you see on TV making these super confident predictions, they were often no better than a coin flip. So faced with this, epic failure, the US government had to ask a really interesting question. Can anyone actually do better? So after some major intelligence blunders, a government agency called IARPA set up this huge forecasting tournament. It was a high-stakes competition to see if you could genuinely improve prediction. The setup was this epic showdown. Thousands of regular people, just volunteers, going head-to-head against professional intelligence analysts, guys with top-secret clearance. And the results were, frankly, revolutionary. A tiny, tiny fraction of the volunteers. We're talking just the top 2%. They didn't just win, they blew the competition out of the water. They were so good, so consistently accurate, that Tetlock's team gave them a new name, Superforecasters. And here's where it gets even crazier when you look at the numbers. This elite group wasn't just a little bit better. They were a full 30% more accurate than professional intelligence analysts. And remember, the pros had access to classified secret data. So what was their secret? You'd think it was some secret formula or a crazy high IQ, but nope, it was all about how they thought. The book explains this using this brilliant metaphor. On one side, you've got your hedgehogs. They know one big thing, one grand theory, and they jam every single problem into that box. They sound super confident, they're great on TV. Then you have the foxes. They know lots of little things. They're skeptical of big, sweeping theories. They pull from all sorts of different sources, and they're totally comfortable with complexity, with nuance, and with saying, I don't know. And here is the absolute punchline. The hedgehogs, with their rigid ideas, they make for great sound bites, but awful forecasters. But the superforecasters, the ones who were actually right time and time again, every single one of them was a fox. So this leads us to the most powerful idea in the whole book. Forecasting is not some magical gift you're born with. It's a skill. And just like any other skill, you can learn it, you can practice it, and you can get way, way better at it. It's basically a toolkit for thinking clearly. So how do you even start? It all begins with something called the outside view. It's a super powerful way to fight your own biases. Before you get lost in all the little details of a problem, you just zoom out and ask, what's the base rate? Like, if you want to start a new restaurant, don't start with how great your menu is. Start by asking, what percentage of new restaurants fail in the first 5 years? It grounds your guess in reality. That's your anchor. From there, superforecasters build on that with other core habits. They use probabilistic thinking. They put numbers on things, like a 70% chance, instead of using fuzzy words like probably. It forces them to be precise. They're always aggressively updating their beliefs, treating them like hypotheses to be tested, not treasures to be defended. They have deep intellectual humility, which means they actually go looking for people who disagree with them to find holes in their own logic. And finally, they keep score, meticulously, because you can't get better at something if you don't measure it. Look, these aren't just some abstract ideas for spies and analysts. This is a practical, hands-on playbook for anyone who wants to make better decisions when the future is, uncertain, which it always is. At the end of the day, super forecasting isn't about having a crystal ball. It's about making smarter decisions right now. Whether you're in business, making policy, or just trying to figure out your own career or investments, being able to weigh the possibilities more accurately is a huge advantage. This whole skill set teaches us the art of being less wrong more often. And in a world that rewards loud, confident, but often totally incorrect people, that's like a quiet superpower. Which brings us to the book's final and I think most challenging question for all of us. Seriously, think about the experts you listen to, the news channels you watch, the pundits you follow. If your personal media diet had an actual accuracy score based on all its past predictions, what would that number be? It's a tough question for sure, but it gets right to the heart of what this book is all about, taking ownership of how we see the world. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode.